Welcome to the NetConnect Azure installation guide. In this video, we'll show you how to install NetConnect into Azure, how to bind your NetConnect instance to Azure Active Directory, and finally, how to integrate NetConnect with Azure's multi-factor authentication or MFA. This video assumes you have a good working knowledge of Azure, are comfortable navigating the Azure portal, and have all the relevant access to your Azure environment. Additionally, you'll need to have Azure Active Directory domain services enabled on your subscription in order to link NetConnect to your Azure AD as well as a multi-factor authentication service if you wish to integrate Azure's MFA with your NetConnect deployment. If you haven't already done so, we recommend you run through the free online NetConnect training course either before or soon after you complete the steps outlined in this video. It covers all the basic NetConnect setup and configuration options, including how to create and assign applications. It also expands on many of the topics we briefly run through in this video. We'll put the link up on your screen to that now. If you get stuck at any stage, need some assistance, or just have some questions, please don't hesitate to email the support team, customersupport@northbridgesecure.com. NetConnect comes with a pre-configured machine on the marketplace, so first up, let's navigate to Azure, sign in, and we're going to click on Create a Resource and then search for NetConnect. There we go. If you see more than one option, just make sure you select the option where the publisher is Northbridge Secure and where you can see our nice colourful N logo there. Now scroll to the bottom here and click Create. We'll go through the setup steps now, starting with the basics. So we'll select a name for your server. In this instance, we'll go with NetConnect, nice and simple. We'll leave the VM disk type as SSD. Enter a username here and then set the authentication type as password and then set that password as you wish. Set your subscription, resource group and location as is relevant to your instance and then click OK. Now for size, we recommend going with A2 standard for less than 50 users. And under the settings heading, configure your network settings as required, ensuring that you select the same virtual network as the servers that you're accessing. Finally, review the summary and make sure everything's set up as required and create the instance. Once the instance has been deployed, we'll be able to access NetConnect. For the time being, this will be web access via the public IP address Azure has assigned to the server. To find that address, we'll navigate to the virtual machine menu, double click on a new server and open up the overview section. Make a copy of the public IP address like so and paste it into a browser. Now NetConnect is accessed via port 443, so you'll need to ensure you have the HTTPS prefix. As with any NetConnect deployment, the first thing you'll notice is a warning in your browser. That's there because we haven't yet applied an SSL certificate to the NetConnect instance to secure the connection. This is covered off in the training program as mentioned earlier. For now, navigate past this message and reach the login page, and you can connect using the default admin username and password, which is admin and then admin v8. Now we'll put those on the screen now. It's strongly recommended that all default passwords are changed and recorded securely as soon as practical, as these credentials are publicly available. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, this is covered in the training program. Okay, so next up we're going to run through the EULA, and if you're happy to accept the agreement, click accept, and there we go. Congratulations, you are now the proud owner of an Azure-based NetConnect instance. Well done. Now you'll need to license your instance to continue from here, and the quickest way to do that is to navigate through to trialnetconnect.com. That's up on your screen now. You simply complete the form for a temporary 10-user license. Now if you want to, you can also request a temporary certificate to secure a connection. The process is covered off in further detail in Chapter 3 of the training program. Okay, next up we're going to look at how we integrate NetConnect with Azure AD to simplify authentication and access for specific users and accounts. In order to integrate, Azure Active Directory domain services must be enabled on your Microsoft Azure environment. Now, if you don't wish to integrate NetConnect with your Azure AD, you can skip past this section altogether. Now, please note, if you plan to integrate with Azure MFA, you don't need to follow the steps listed in this section, as they'll be overtaken by the steps in the Azure MFA section. It'll all become clear when you get to that point, if you get to that point. Now, to bind your NetConnect instance to your Azure AD, we'll need to set up a new vRealm with an authentication stage that references the Azure AD. This essentially links your NetConnect instance to the Azure AD store to allow users to log in. We're going to run through several sections of NetConnect that are explained in more detail in the training program, so if you want to understand more about the concept of vRealms and authentication stages, please be sure to run through those videos. So let's open up the admin portal and we're going to navigate through to authentication settings, vRealm management, and we'll click Add vRealm. Let's nominate a name for this stage. We'll go with Azure AD and click Submit. and then we'll select the stage type as LDAP. Okay, not all the fields here need to be completed for this activity, so we'll focus on the ones that are required. First up, we'll enter our domain into the domain field, and under the host field, enter the IP address of your Azure Active Directory Domain Services instance. Now, in order to locate this IP address, open up your Azure portal and navigate through to the Azure AD Domain Services area. Open up the Properties menu for your domain, and the IP address will be listed under IP address on virtual network, as shown here. We'll enter the port number as 389, and next we'll need to complete the bind DN field. This is a string that identifies the AD account that we're going to use to bind to NetConnect. We recommend creating an account specifically for the purpose of binding NetConnect, but that's up to you. Remember, you'll need to have Azure Domain Services activated to carry out the following steps. To find that bind DN string, we need to log on to a server in our domain, which is running Active Directory Administrative Center, or ADAC, and open that up, navigate to our users, and select the one we've nominated to use for the binding of our Active Directory server. Double click on the user, go to the Extensions menu, open the attribute editor, and scroll a short way down here until we find the distinguished name attribute, and then just open that up and copy the value. Then we'll hop back to our admin portal, paste the string into the bind DN field along with the account password. Next, we'll fill in the base DN field. This can be found at the latter part of the bind DN and defines where the AD queries begin, so you will likely want to set that as high as possible. We're going to set ours at the domain level, so we'll copy from the first DC section and paste that in. There we go. Okay, after that we'll set the login attribute. That has to be SAM account name by default. Now this is case sensitive, so make sure you have a capital AMA and a capital N as displayed on the screen now. And after that we're going to enter the group attribute member as member. And finally enter the same value on the group base DN as you did on the base DN field and click submit. Okay, let's make sure that's worked as expected. We'll log out and then we'll go to the login screen, and first of all we'll enter the username of our test Azure user. We'll enter the password, and finally we'll select the new realm we've created so NetConnect knows where to validate those credentials. There we go, that's worked. Now we haven't created or assigned any applications at this stage, so the web top is empty as expected. Finally, NetConnect can be configured to integrate with Azure multi-factor authentication services in order to provide an additional layer of security to your infrastructure. Utilizing Azure multi-factor authentication server as a radius server, users must respond to an automated phone call or text message from Microsoft in order to access NetConnect. The following steps assume you have an existing Azure MFA instance configured with directory integration on a domain joined Active Directory or on Azure Active Directory. If you do not wish to integrate Azure MFA, you can skip past this section. Okay, so assuming you do want to continue, we'll begin by connecting to the server where your multi-factor authentication server console is installed, and we'll open up the console. Open up the Radius Authentication section and ensure Enable Radius Authentication is ticked. Within the Clients tab, click Add and complete the following details. Under IP address, enter the internal IP address of the NetConnect virtual machine. Under Application Name, we'll need to give it a name. Let's just go with MFA in this instance. Under the shared secret, you'll just need to enter a secret of your choice, so a password of some description, and you'll just need to confirm that under the Confirm Shared Secret field here, and then click OK. Within the Target tab, ensure Windows Domain is selected, and within the multi-factor authentication server, make sure Radius is enabled. Finally, just make sure the user or users that you wish to test with are enabled and have the appropriate fields configured as required. So the next step is to add an extra authentication stage to our Azure AD vRealm within NetConnect. So simply navigate to your instance, skip through the browser warning again, that will go once we've installed a certificate, and log in with your local admin account. From the admin portal, navigate through to Authentication Settings, click vRealm Management, and click on the Azure AD Realm and edit vRealm stages. Now we're going to remove the LDAP authentication stage that we created a little bit earlier on, as it will no longer be required in this scenario. And once that's done, click on Add Stage and select the type as Radius. Next, we'll need to configure the following fields. Domain, we'll just enter the domain that the Azure MFA server is joined to, and user template we'll leave as a default. Primary radius server IP, that's the IP address of the server which has Azure MFA installed. This can be located within your Azure portal by navigating to the IP addresses section of the virtual machine where your Azure multi-factor authentication server is installed. Primary radius port is 1812, and primary radius secret is the shared secret you set for NetConnect within the MFA server details a moment ago. Note the radius server secret is case sensitive and must match the radius server secret exactly. Set the radius timeout as required. We'll go with 90 seconds here and then click submit. Now once you've completed the above steps, you'll be able to access NetConnect using an account from the configured domain with a second authentication stage via Azure MFA. When testing, ensure you select the appropriate VRAM from the login page. Once you've entered the username and password, you'll be prompted to enter a text message or answer a phone call, depending on how you've configured your Azure MFA instance. So to recap, you now have a NetConnect instance running in your Azure environment, which your users can authenticate to using their existing domain credentials, and you've also got that extra layer of security with Azure MFA. From here, you can create some applications to make your internal resources available to your users. You can publish the user desktops, configure access via a secure URL of your choice, test out access via our mobile apps, and a whole lot more. To find out how, simply run through our free technical training program or reach out to our support team at the customer support at northbridgesecure.com email address, and we'll be happy to help out in any way we can. Thanks for your time.